Welcome to the Album Anniversary Podcast. Today's show is about Aunt Betty's or Aunt Betty Ford's. I don't know. There's some name to this band. It's their debut record, Aunt Betty's, Aunt Betty's. It was released sometime in 1996. We might have actually found a date while getting ready for this, so sorry about that. We're doing it way early, and it's celebrating a 30-year anniversary.
Jesus, won't you help me find my way? Won't you send me some money in the mail? Jesus, won't you let me drink one more? It helps me to ignore how much I failed. I'm getting sick, I'm getting ill, I'm getting tired, I'm getting fired.
I'm your host, Caleb, or Caleb the Spy is what I go by on social media. And every day on social media, I do my best to post about some conglomeration of album anniversaries. So on the Album Anniversary Podcast, we take a look at a classic album, an album we love, or an album that's important to us. And today I'm joined by two guests making their first time appearance on the show. Both of you have been on the youth group show, but welcome to the show. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
You help host a show called The Pickle Home Companion, if anybody is unfamiliar. I'm sure we'll talk about that at the end, but thanks for hanging out here on a Sunday afternoon and talking about this album. And then first-time guest Josh. Josh, you were also on the youth group show, oh man, a while ago, because we took the long hiatus. But Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Caleb.
Awesome. I'm excited to have both of you guys here and to talk about this, one of the multiple Michael Knott conglomerations. I will ask, do you have a favorite Michael Knott conglomeration?
Oh, geez. Well, anyone who's listened to A Pickle Home Companion, anytime it comes down to, pick your top,
sure,
what's your favorite thing? I can never pick a favorite. And with Mike Knott, he's got his kind of acoustic storytelling stuff. He's got his rock stuff like the Aunt Betty's. So there's a lot of variety to choose from. This album would easily be in probably the top 3 to 5.
Okay. So this one ranks high for you in
very much so.
All of his things. Well, you're a good guest for it then. Josh, do you have a favorite, like a favorite of Michael Knott's stuff?
Yeah, of everything like Lifesavers and LSU, Aunt Betty's is by far my favorite.
Really? Okay. Wow. Well, I'm sure then we'll get into it about why this ranks so high for you guys. That's super cool that this one ranks so high. All right. Well, I say with that out of the way, let's dive in. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to jump in and just make a quick comment about this episode. We recorded this before the Aunt Betty's reissue release show got announced. Literally, like the day after we recorded it, they got emails about the upcoming vinyl. It did get called out in the show about the upcoming release of this album on vinyl, and then the upcoming show. But we did not even know that show was going to happen until literally after we had hung up and been done recording. So we didn't miss it. We had recorded before all that was announced. So just throwing that out there. Again, Saturday the 28th in where? Somewhere in California. They're doing an Aunt Betty's reissue release show. I don't know exactly how that's all going to work, obviously, but I think the Rocky Valentines and the band that I can never say their name right, Watsawi Wa, I totally messed that up. They're going to be playing there too. But again, we didn't miss it. Just, found out about it after we were done recording. All right, enjoy the rest of the conversation.
Can I be your pretentious mother trucker? Can I show you where to drive and how? Hey, can I be your lucky mother trucker right now? Beep, beep,
Like we said, we're talking about Aunt Betty's, or at some point it was originally named Aunt Betty's Ford. I think when I got it off of Bandcamp, which I don't even remember when that was, I got it as Aunt Betty's Ford, so it's got both names. I'm sure maybe it'll come up why there's multiple names. But Aunt Betty's, that's the album and the band. released in 1996. And I believe, Kevin, you at one point sent me a screenshot that it looked like sometime in July. I've never found an official date, so that's why it's coming out here in February. This is the group's debut record, and this is on Elektra. And I think we'll talk a little bit about their relationship with their record company because I think it is important. But yes, debut album, and on Elektra, which is a pretty big record company that was out there in the 90s.
Did you find anything out about like how they promoted it, the record label?
There wasn't a lot of promotion, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a quote from Doug Van Pelt, but I can save it if we get into that.
I agree, Josh. I have a note here at some point about their record company, so we'll swing back to that because I think the promotion of this album and their relationship with their record company is part of this band's story, which I know it's part of every band's story, but like it's a big part of this band's story. So this was produced by Gene Eugene. Again, we've talked about Gene Eugene a bunch on this show. He just some of the things that he's most famous for: Adam Again, The Choir, Plank Eye, The Waiting, 77s, Lost Dogs, Fillmore, The Deluxe Stone Rockets, Starflyer 59, The Insiders, Bon Voyage, and a ton of Michael Knott projects, including, I think he was going to be involved in the Kush thing. I don't know. Was he actually on that? Now I can't remember. I did a whole episode on it with Brock last year, but tons of things. If you don't know who Gene Eugene is, I've failed you as a podcast host, but yeah, Gene Eugene has been everywhere, and he produced this.
He doesn't owe me any money.
That's the second time that joke's been made on the podcast. The members of this conglomeration are Michael Knott. He does vocals and I think acoustic guitar, probably some other guitar as well. But Michael Knott is kind of the lead. Brian, oh boy, Deutsch. I have no idea how you say his last name. Is that close?
Deutsch. Yeah.
Okay. He plays bass on this. Chuck Cummings is on the drums, and then Andrew Carter is on guitar. I did not take a deep dive into all those members because I generally do the producer, but like these are all like longtime collaborators with Michael Knott, I believe, or at least have some relation to him. It's not like this was like some random group of guys. He has a relationship with these guys going into this record, is my understanding.
Yeah, and Chuck Cummings was also in a number of other bands. Like he was in Silage. He was in a band called The Surfers, which I absolutely love as well. Yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff.
Okay. The way I've heard, like the story behind this, and this is where we get into a bit of the record label, and I think it's important for this record, is that this was kind of everyone, and I think including Michael Knott himself, kind of expected this to be like his big general market crossover. So yes, Michael Knott is synonymous, Gene Eugene is synonymous with CCM and like kind of alternative CCM, but this was going to be that kind of general market crossover. That was what kind of was started as. And so the story I read, and it's probably Wikipedia and a couple other places, but I heard in 1995, the Aunt Bettys were signed by Laura Noel Hill, which I think she had worked with Better Than Ezra. And then there's another person named Seymour Stein who had worked with Madonna, the Talking Heads, the Ramones. They signed them to Elektra, and then they were going to be co-managed by somebody else who had worked with Green Day and other bands. So this was kind of that circle. Like they're signed to this big record label. They were given total creative control, and then changes within those management companies kind of just led to kind of, Josh, what you alluded to earlier, like super minimal promotion for this album. I think it kind of got out there and they were like, well, we didn't sign these people. We've taken over and we don't think this has got a whole lot of legs. And so promotion for it just kind of died. Is that similar to what you had heard as well?
Yeah, that's what I had heard. And I think one thing to note is, this was kind of, like you said, it was the general market push. Well, this was, before you had bands like POD crossing over, Switchfoot, like all those bands where it became more of, typical thing for that to happen. Before this, you probably just had, like Michael W. Smith, Amy Grant, stuff
Right.
like that. So, and this wouldn't really be a typical Christian artist crossing over once we dive into
Yeah.
the songs.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I have is a quote from Doug Van Pelt, who ran HM Magazine.
Sure.
And he just said maybe we should just blame the marketing and radio promotions departments at Elektra for failing to make the song Jesus as memorable as a Nirvana hit. How could they have failed with material this good?
Yeah. And I think that leads to this strained relationship. So again, the note I saw on this was that they were kind of, again, total creative control, guaranteed 2 albums, but then it sounds like not specifically. And he just kind of was like, I don't want to be here at Elektra anymore. So he convinced them to buy them out. I know they would go on and do a second album, Ford Supersonic, I think is the name, but
Yep.
that was kind of independently released. And so he bailed and just kind of said like, I'm out of here. I don't want to do this anymore. So that's kind of what I've heard is that he wanted out from Elektra. So it started as this huge, this is going to be it, mainstream crossover hit, and then kind of fizzled to feels like absolutely nothing very, very quick.
Yeah, and it's funny because there was two songs that actually got some radio play back in the day. So,
Yeah.
Jesus, I know Jesus was on the radio, Addict was on the radio, and there was a single for Skinny Bones Jones as well, which I'm sure we'll get to. But that actually had a an unreleased track on the CD single for that.
Hmm. Nice. So again, it's just it kind of shows. And I heard the same thing. Like there were a couple songs that made it, especially in a couple markets, like it really was getting a lot of airplay, which I think that's another like super unique thing of the 90s cuz like I don't know about you guys where you guys were like our rock stations. We had kind of alternative station in the area I've talked about it
Hmm.
on the show before called Rev 105. And it was this like you 1 minute they're playing Rage Against the Machine, the next minute they're playing Bob Dylan, then the next minute they're playing something like Ani DeFranco, and then like Primus. Like you're like, what is going on? And then they go back and
Yeah.
play a Beatles song. Like it was all over the place. But one of the bands they latched onto was Soul Coughing. And so Soul Coughing had this like huge following in Minnesota, even though they're a New York band. But like they'd kind of come to refer to like Minnesota as their second home because one station globbed onto it and it became this huge thing. And so they're like, yeah, we play more shows in Minnesota than we do in New York at times because Minnesota, there was like one station that embraced us and kind of pushed us. And so it's kind of amazing that that's something you're never going to see ever again, but kind of
Right.
cool to think back to that.
And I'm curious, so like as far as your musical taste, where you had a radio station like that growing up and the station was kind of all over the place, your listening preferences, would you say that they're also kind of all over the place? For me, like I listened like especially back in, like high school, like I'd be listening to Cypress Hill and then, Pearl Jam and then Aerosmith and then Led Zeppelin and kind of just all over the place. Um, and
Yeah.
it's still my musical taste is all over the place.
Yeah. Josh, how about you? Do you feel like that's contributed to your musical taste?
Yes, and that's how concerts were set up back in the day. Because I remember going and seeing a bill that had like PAX 217, John Rubin, and Spoken on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you nailed it, Josh.
Mhm.
I think for all three of us, the Christian space and Brock brought this up on a show. Like the fact that like you didn't have 30 punk bands to choose from. Although by the end of the 90s you started to. Like when
Mhm.
you first got into it, and maybe because we all couldn't afford it either. Like you kind of were like, oh, I can afford 3 of these this year. And so
Mhm.
those are your 3 kind of punk bands, but then there was also like your friend got, the new, acoustic folk album and you were like, "Well, I like that too." And like the Christian space kind of made us like collectors of all things because we didn't have as many to choose from. So it's kind of like I mean, I think Joy Electric is maybe the example where like I think that is something that a lot of people have this like immense fondness for that I don't I can't think of too many things like that in like the secular like mainstream space. And so like
Mhm.
I think it's just interesting like stuff like that became like a favorite of people because they got exposed to it because you just had less stuff you were exposed to like volume wise and so you globbed onto like as many things that caught your ears. So I think that's a unique part of our upbringing for sure.
Yeah, and I mean those tooth and nail samplers were
Yeah.
huge and like the variety of stuff that was on, a lot of those. And for me, I know it got to the point where it was like if it was on tooth and nail, I was going to buy it
Hmm. Yeah.
because I knew it was if even if I didn't like it, it was going to be interesting.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah. I think those things definitely contributed for me. So one more note that you had thrown out there too, Kevin, is that 4 of these tracks would also end up on Mike Knott's "Things I've Done, Things to Come," which came out
Yep.
in 2000. So, and that's a kind of a staple of Mike Knott. Like he was not afraid to take a song. Like one of these, I actually like. Like you can kind of track through, and you're like, I like this version better. Like he definitely
Oh yeah.
I want to. I don't want. I'm gonna say reuse, and I think it's gonna sound like I'm saying it negatively. I'm
Rework.
not. Yes, yeah. It's much more positive in my opinion. Yeah, rework.
Yeah, and on the things I've done, things to come, it was kind of uh, some older stuff and some newer stuff on there,
Mm,
which was cool.
yeah, awesome. Any other facts that we want to throw out? I'm out of my list is done.
They did a Kickstarter for this last year.
Yeah, good point.
Oh yeah, we definitely should talk about that.
Yeah, it's Lost in Ohio. Is that the record company or Ohio
Yes,
Lost, something like that?
Lost in Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah, so they did a Kickstarter for this to repress this onto vinyl. And I know it made it, so it's coming out sometime spring of 2026 is what I've heard.
Yep. We actually should be well, as of recording, we should be getting an email later this week with a little bit more shipping information. Um, yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be all remastered, and I believe one of the stretch goals was re-recording a couple songs.
Nice.
Um, and there's supposed to be some announcement coming out soon.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, the last email said that if everything goes to plan, they should be shipping everything out by the end of January. So
Oh,
hopefully by February, most people in the US will have it in hands.
so you might have this before this episode comes out. That'd be pretty cool. There's maybe my cue that I should record closer to the actual release date of episodes.
No, they were actually supposed to, have the vinyl out last year. That was the goal. So it's
Sure.
been pushed back a lot.
Seems like it's becoming more of a trend that like it's just taken forever. So we're still waiting on Straight Six by Bora Lou. So I know that one's still in flight. So
Yeah, and I believe they reworked the whole album cover too.
they did, yeah, they redid all the artwork for it. Um, so it's similar, but it's not like they just, you know, recreated it in like high res. So it's all very similar as far as like the woman with all the tattoos and like Jesus at the bar and stuff like that.
And
that's
UFOs.
interesting.
Yep.
I think I have a different cover. Hold on.
Really?
Yeah. I have a woman smoking and there's a car and flames.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the original.
That's the original, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one I have on
Yeah.
in my digital collection. So
Yeah, like the artwork on the other side, like I'm trying to remember because it's been a while since I've opened up the actual CD case for it, but like there's a picture of her and you see like all her tattoos on her back and stuff.
and that's obviously a reference to which song is it?
Star Baby.
Star Baby?
Star
Yeah.
Baby, yep.
It could be Star Baby or the Lush.
Yeah, I think it's Lush. Lush is the one with the
Yep.
tattoos. Yeah.
Yeah. And throughout the artwork in the booklet, like it's all just references to different things throughout the album, which is cool.
Yeah.
You say your daddy was abducted by some aliens. You say your mother was impregnated by some key Martian. You're insane, no, but you're so beautiful. Started, like a supersonic, you know. You're so beautiful. You think you follow UFO.
How did you first discover this album?
So for me, I was in college and I was walking through Kenmore Square up in Boston, and there's a record store called Nuggets that's in there. And they used to have this back room that was filled with like CDs for $1.
Oh.
So you'd go in, and a lot of times it was like pre-release copies of albums that had been sent out to radio stations, and the radio stations had sent them to Roadside Records or, sold them to this record store where they kind of just flipped them for $1 each because they probably just got boxes and boxes of
Sure.
these things. So I used to go in there and I would spend hours just combing through just the walls and the boxes. And, I'd come across all these tooth and nail stuff, a lot of Rescue Records, Forefront, all sorts of stuff. And I had gotten into Mike Knott previously from his, I had heard the name, just kind of listening to music and going through stuff. But once I got that Strip Cycle album that came out on Tooth and Nail,
Yeah.
I started doing more of a deep dive. So anyway, fast forward, I'm at Nuggets, I'm flipping through, all the CDs, and I would just grab anything that had, a fun band name. So like I'd grab like Spud Puddle or
Right.
uh stuff like that. And saw Aunt Betty's and I was like, okay, interesting, the flames on it. So I pull it out, look at the artwork. I'm like, the artwork's cool. Flip it over and I'm looking at the back and, I see Gene Eugene, I see Mike Knott, I see Chuck Cummings, and I'm like, these are names that I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab it. So I grabbed it and absolutely fell in love with the album. So anytime I was back at Nuggets, I would go in. If I saw another copy of that album, I would just buy it. So I probably bought 10 to 15 copies of this album and I would just give them to friends like in college or like give one to my brother. I'd be like, you have to hear this album.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I had a pre-release copy of it and I lent it to somebody and they never gave it back. So I ended up having to go buy another copy like down the road. But yeah, I've probably bought this like 15 times easily.
That's amazing to like notice a producer's name or notice a band member and be like, "Oh, I know them. I know that name," and pull it out.
Yeah.
Pull it out. That's amazing.
And I mean, that was the best part about that room was like you could go on a gamble like, oh, it's got a funny name. Oh, it's got cool artwork. It's only $1. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm in college. I don't have much money, but it's $1. You
Yeah.
know, it's you could take that gamble. And then once you found something that was gold, like that's where I got the Jesus CD single was there and the Skinny Bones Jones CD single. They had them there as well.
Yeah. That's amazing. Josh, how about for you? What was your introduction to this album?
So I was a big fan of HM Magazine, and their July August of 2010 issue was actually a 25-year anniversary for the magazine,
Hmm.
and they did a 100 the top 100 Christian rock albums in their opinion. And so this one actually landed at number 38.
Okay.
Nice.
And I had never heard of Aunt Betty's, but again, seeing the artwork and just reading what Doug said, I was like, that's one that I got to check out. And I went and I bought it off of iTunes.
Okay. Well, now we need to see, is that available online? Hang on. Well, I can't find that list online, Josh. I might have to talk to you about you sending me the names. I like making little lists and having them as comparisons. So
Yeah, I found it online one time when I was trying to find this magazine. So if I can find it, I'll send you the link.
yeah, I'd be interested in knowing what this comes in at what you said 38.
Yeah, it
Okay,
came in at number 38.
okay, yeah, I'd be interested to see what they put ahead of this and after this. So my introduction to this is much later. I think I've been pretty forthcoming about my lateness on Michael Knott. LSU and like Lifesavers Underground and Lifesavers and all the different versions were around, and I definitely remember seeing them in the Christian bookstore. And I remember checking out a little here and there, and I just was like, I'll say it, I just don't think I was quite ready for it. And it just didn't hit me. And then it was, significantly later, I was like, all right, I need to try Michael Knott again. And I think, again, just ready for like those, just the uniqueness of his vocals and
Hmm.
kind of how he goes about things. And so all of a sudden I was ready. And so I've taken somewhat of a deep dive. He is the hardest person to take a deep dive into after the fact, I feel like, because he's just all over the place. I mean, like this one, like you're like, oh, Aunt Betty's. How would I know this is related to him unless you randomly stumble across it in the back of some CD room,
Right.
and notice the name. I mean, so that he's really hard to do. I will say, if you're ever interested in doing it, There's a website that went down briefly. Hopefully they'll be able to maintain it. It's Knots Heads.
Nutheads on H.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good resource of all stuff Michael Knott.
Yeah, they've got discography, like hard to find live tracks, lyrics. I mean, you name it, they've got it up there.
Yeah. I think I used that as like all right, where do I start? Like, because I think they had a
Mhm.
list at some point that somebody had uploaded of like their favorites. And I was like, okay, this is an easy way to start this off and like, kind of start digging into it. And I've had a couple people on the show where I've been like, give me your top 3 so I can go check those out. Because if you try and take a deep dive through all of it, that's going to be your year of listening to music. And,
Mhm.
it's helpful to have kind of some direction when it comes to his. So, but yeah, so significantly later, probably in the last 10 years that I stumbled across this record in particular. So,
Yeah, I mean, for me, like when I was kind of digging into some of his older stuff, they're definitely same with you, like how you're like, well, some of this stuff, it's not really grabbing me. Like I had like the Lifesavers Pop Life album, didn't really care for that too much, but there was a handful of his older albums while I was doing the deep dive, kind of in between Strip Cycle and Aunt Betty's that like I absolutely loved. Like Rocket and the Bomb, that album is super good.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is my favorite by him still.
Made it big, made it bigger, made it biggest. Then it keeps on coming back. All tattered and torn. Skinny Bones Jones. Skinny Bones Jones. Do you have to sell your souls? Stay bigger than gold. Skinny Bones Jones. Skinny Bones Jones. Do you have to sell your soul to be rolling stone?
What is it that you love about this album?
So I'm a big fan of concept albums, and while I wouldn't consider this a concept album, it does have a theme to it. So I view it as an album with a theme, which is Mike worked at as a bartender, and so most of the songs are about the patrons who visited the bar, are just stories that were told about people from the bar. So
Yeah.
I just kind of think about, Cheers, and if someone was to write an album about all the characters who were on Cheers,
This would not be that album, but
No.
you can see where they were going.
correct.
Yeah, I think if Cheers included like all the characters from this album, that would be a wildly different show, and I 100% would have watched that as well.
So now we have 2 ideas. Someone can go write an album about all the characters on Cheers, and then someone can go make a TV show about the characters from this album.
I think you could actually see that. Like,
Oh,
if somebody
yeah.
could do like I know Flash is dead, but like, there's got to be some fairly cheap animation that somebody could put together and do a Aunt Betty's pilot or TV show. That'd be crazy. Do you start with Jesus? I mean, the album kicks off with Jesus. Is that your first, like, is the pilot have Jesus?
I think you'd have to. It would really grab everybody's attention. So
It would. Awesome. Kevin, what else do you like about it?
oh my gosh. For me, I like, like I said, the artwork kind of grabbed me right away. The music is fantastic. Like Josh was saying, the storytelling that kind of goes through, like all these different characters and the lyrics, which I think that's also why I really liked his Live in Nash Vegas album and the I think it's Live at Cornerstone 2000. Like he does those and those albums, it's kind of like a storyteller's type thing. So you get to hear like a little bit of story about, about some of these characters on those albums as well. Yeah, I mean, the themes in the album of just like humanity and failure and sort of the side of life that like Christians or normal society kind of looks the other way at or doesn't want to talk about. Like that's the type of stuff that's on this album. And it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, it's not an album that like I've sat with as long, obviously, because I was late to it, but like I've listened to it a lot getting ready for this, and you are just kind of like the stories like over and over. You're like, oh, this is just so interesting to hear, and especially like Josh talking about that idea of like, I'm sure some of this is a little embellished at times.
Mhm.
Like but like there is just something kind of like overwhelming to think about. Like these are, because I read that too. Like there's the Star Baby one. Like somebody walks into the bar and says like I'm, my father was an alien or my mother was an alien, blah blah blah, and like everybody, like I'm here to devour people, and everybody turns to Mike and kind of looks at him like, oh, we're throwing you to the wolves, and like it's just kind of this like. There is such a tapestry that is on this thing it's unique, and it is easy to re-listen to because you kind of like the deeper you go, the more you kind of are like, I had been singing along with one of the songs and I was like just singing along, and then I was reading up on it and I was reading the lyrics and I was like, oh, this is totally different than I thought it was. Right. Okay.
And that's the funny thing is like you know, while we were getting ready to do this and I'm going through it, I'm like trying to make like listen to each track and like write down notes as I'm listening to it. I kept finding myself like just getting into the songs
Yeah.
and just like next thing I know, like 4 songs have gone past and I'm like, oh shoot, I was just listening to the song. Like I love this album so much that it was just like, oh nope, got to skip back, start again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I love about Mike's writing style here is that the story is mostly told in the verses.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then he'll give you these like really simple or short choruses.
Yeah.
And I mean, they may only have like 2 words at times or, 5 words at times. And they are just so catchy that they just get stuck in your head.
Yeah. I love how live this album feels like, and I don't know if it was recorded live. Who knows what was going on in 1996, right? Like, there were some bands who were probably still doing it. There was bands who were starting to, more track stuff and, individually. It was all over the place. But, like, this thing feels live, and it feels like just this, like, we're going to put the pedal to the metal and do rock and roll. We're not going to try and fit a genre. We're not going to try and, like, cash in on what's hot right now. We're just going to do live rock and roll and see what we get out of it. That's the other thing that I think really comes through on this album, that not a lot of his stuff feels really live, but it really comes through on this record for me.
Yeah, 100%. Like I definitely agree with that. Like even, parts where he's just, starts screaming like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it sounds like what you would expect if you were at a show. Like
Yeah.
the emotion and just really getting into it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I know like guitar solos were a big thing, but the way they do the guitars here, like they really transition from, parts of the song using the guitar solo where it really just like enhances the song, but it doesn't overtake it. And I love that part about the musicianship of it.
Yeah, that's a good call out. I like that. Last thing I'll say then about it is there's something about this. Like there's a little bit of it. It's my opinion of all Mike Knott music is that there's a bit of like a legend status and like a myth behind all of his stuff. His stuff feels mysterious and bigger than life in a lot of ways. And I think his personality contributed to that. Like you get into Kush, right? And like the Kush manifesto. What band has a manifesto before they've released an album? And like, it's just kind of feels like who he is. And so like, this is one of those ones where like, you can't find a ton of information online. There's some, but it feels big and grandiose and mythical at times. And I think that's partially just Michael Knott in general, but this album in particular.
Yeah. And you saying that, like, it makes me kind of think, the one thing that I really like about his music is, if you know anything about Mike Knott, he had his issues and, you could kind of feel it in some of the songs. Like, and I think that's what I liked was because, at the time, like a lot of like CCM type music, it was very polished and very like perfect. And this was imperfect in the most perfect way.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, and it was, I don't know. I loved that. Like there's just something about that really grabbed onto me.
Yeah. Money's starting to flow into CCM at this time, and you're starting to get very polished records. You're getting some very unpolished ones as well, but you're getting some really, really polished production in the CCM space, and that's a good point.
Some spaced out lunatics started screaming for solo. Turn up the jukebox. Said she wants rhythm, you got my hand. I'm the lush, I'm the lush, I'm the lush. Drinking your disco, doing your go-go. I'm the lush, I'm the lush, I'm the lush. Drinking your disco.
Guys, what are some of your favorite tracks from this record?
Well, I mean, like I was saying earlier, for me, I can never necessarily pick, what my favorite is on the album. And, this album certainly is no exception.
Yeah.
Like I was earlier, I was saying, trying to take notes, and next thing I know, like I've gone through 4 songs. So
Yeah.
I just kind of, okay, if I don't think about it, here's 4 off the top of my head that, like these are the ones that I would pick without thinking about it. Because if I start to think about it, I'll be like, no, but I like that one too. So, so right off the bat, let's start with Jesus.
Yeah.
Fantastic opening track. Um, this one, it's actually like we were talking about how he reworks tracks. This one was a reworked version of the song "Tonight" off of the Flood album, or no, Fluid
Yep.
album. And I'll tell you a little story about one of the times that I saw Mike Knott. Um, so it was at Soul Fest up in New Hampshire at the time, and he actually had 3 sets over the weekend, which was really cool.
Hmm.
So I ran into him the night before and was talking with him. I can tell more stories about that. Might be good for the outro. I don't know. We'll see. Um, but I think it was day 2. He had a set that was just kind of in like uh, almost like the concession stand area. They had like a little small stage, so he came out there and was doing a set. And while we're there, I was actually there with the guys from Five Iron. We all went to go see him play, and he's somebody kept like yelling, "Play Jesus, play Jesus, play Jesus." And I think it might have been the 3rd song. He finally just plays it, rips through it in probably like a minute and a half, throws his guitar down on the ground, and just walks out.
Huh.
But I mean, it's listening to that song and like going through the lyrics and like what it's about, and knowing he had had a really rough night the night before,
Yeah.
uh, battling some of his issues. Um, and it was just kind of, you could see it was just kind of building up and building up and building up, and he was just like, I'm done, boom, here's the song, I'm out of here.
Hmm.
um
I was going to make a Subway Fillmore joke, but it doesn't feel appropriate anymore.
but no, I mean, it's talking about, like the humanity of this album and the stuff that goes into the lyrics, like that's just one that I absolutely love.
Yeah. Josh, what are your thoughts on that song?
I mean, lyrics aside, just that song is just amazing. I love how it just builds and builds and builds, and then he just unleashes on you. But I mean, I put that song up there with like a Smells Like Teen Spirit or a Monkey Wrench. I mean, it's just got
Yeah.
like that 90s like angst to it. But then, when you take all of that out and you just start out with like the first verse, I mean, it literally is probably a conversation that Mike has had with Jesus more than one time.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does build, but it's so interesting that like you kind of get to see everything you're going to get. Like AJ, a friend of the show, AJ talks about like first tracks being a thesis statement. And it really does feel like that's what this is. This is a thesis statement for the album. Even that first minute just has so much into it. He does the soft loud, which is again a 90s staple, but like, soft loud soft, and like it's kind of an overwhelmingly it's the only song you can start this record with. Like there's no rework in the track listing. It has to start here, and it's a perfect kickoff to this album in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and just going from the, like, hey, I need help, and then the franticness of like talking about what he's doing to kind of deal with it, and then it just kind of starts to kind of fade a little bit as he's talking, as he sings the line, like I'm getting high, and then it goes back into the, hey, Jesus, I need help, and then it builds up again, just kind of the back and forth of it it's really good.
Yeah.
I think he was really taking like a backhanded approach to, like in the 90s, you had all these televangelists, who were
Mhm.
just like, send me some money. And so Mike's like, well, send me some money in the mail.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So I like how he turned that on them.
Yeah. The quote I found from Mike Not on this song was, Jesus gets violent at times, but that's what life is like. The song is not anti-religious. I believe in God, but my life has gotten screwed up somehow. And no matter what I believe, this is how it feels. It's like this almost feels like a thesis statement for his life in a lot of ways, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, what's the song you feel like you need to talk about?
Do we need to go in order for like the track listing
You can do
orders?
whatever you want. Whatever song you want to talk about next, you talk about it.
Okay. Um, I love the song Lush.
Okay.
It's the fifth track. So I was finding out that it's a true story in which
Yeah.
a friend, like Mike says, that a friend of his took a beautiful woman covered with tattoos home from a bar, and when they got home, she took off all of her clothes, she tied him to a chair, and she whipped him mercilessly. And then after that, she told him, "I'm the Lush."
Yeah. I found that as well. I was like, okay, all right. This is real life stuff. Amazing.
Yeah.
So this should not be considered a Christian album. But it bears a question like, how true is this? How much is this friend making it up? Whether it's true or not, it makes for a great story to write a song about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently it inspired the artwork that's on the inside of the CD.
Man, it's another one where it might not be my favorite, but man, I love this song too. Like it's uh almost like when he gets into like the story mode of it, like it almost like he's singing it, but it's almost like he's just telling the story, when he
Yeah.
said, like uh going through just, here's all the stuff that happened, and then it kicks back into, like Josh was saying, kind of a simpler chorus, which it's super catchy.
Yeah.
Um, and then, like right back into, okay, so here's what happened next, and uh, like even down to the, like turn off the jukebox, sexy wants to rock, like
Right.
just, like, oh man.
Yeah. And even the chorus doesn't even like without that story, it doesn't make any sense, right? I'm the
Right.
lush, I'm the lush, here's your disco, turn down your,
Yep.
like it feels totally random. But like again, I think Josh, you nailed it. Like the complexity is in the verses, and then there's this catchy chorus, and then it's kind of back to that. And in the song, it totally works and makes sense. But it's like it is a really unique approach to kind of songwriting and storytelling. My note on this was, oh, so this is the song that really just tells you not a Christian album. Like this is like you get here and you're like, all right, we're going a different direction. Got it.
Yeah,
Got
and then it just gets further and further and further.
it.
Like I said,
Absolutely.
not your typical crossover.
Yeah, it's
I
so
mean,
unique.
and
We'll
then the
get
fact
we'll get to
that,
one of them. I have a note that's literally just what?
but I mean, then the fact that Doug still included it in the top 100 albums,
Yeah, that's
Well,
great.
I
and it
mean,
was Mike Knott.
well, and it's one of those, it's not a Christian album, but at the same time it is, because it's, like there are a lot of Christian themes on it,
That's
like
true.
about struggle and, needing help, and, where do you look for that?
Yep.
And yeah, so like it's imperfect in the most perfect way, but it's also, how would you say it? It's almost more Christian because it's less Christian type of thing. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Because it's like other people can, relate to it, and I think that's important.
I feel like, when you hear Joe Yerke say, like, the insiders went to California for the first time, and we found out, oh, there's actually Christians who drink alcohol.
Yep. I don't know about you guys, but like my 90s church Christian experience, like there's a fear of talking about the imperfections. And like
Mhm.
that drove a lot of people probably off from the church because they were feeling like I can't be honest about my failings. Where like I think it's something I want to say the church has gotten better at. I don't know if it has. We'll leave the social commentary for a different podcast, but this feels ahead of its time to like be like honest about like these are the things I struggle with. These are the things I'm failing
Mhm.
at. Like that definitely wasn't coming through on a DC Talks album, even though they had the song "What If I Stumble." Like, but it's
Right.
not that. That feels like even that feels like a super polished version of that conversation. This doesn't feel polished at all.
No, this is here's how I'm stumbling, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, awesome. What's another song you want to talk about, Kevin?
Let's see. Well, if I don't have too many notes on it, but Mother Trucker, it's man, is that it's so catchy and like it just cracked me up, like going into it when I first got the album, like listening to Jesus, and I'm like, okay, all right. And then you get to Mother Trucker, and I just started laughing because I was like, it's so obvious that it's just an excuse to be just off of saying something else.
Yeah,
But oh, it's a great song too, you know?
yeah. It's a great rock song. It's a nice follow up. Like it kind of does lighten the mood after Jesus, and like kind of it's again. I think the sequencing on here is really good because it Jesus feels serious and heavy, and then it's kind of like, all right, we're also gonna just have a little fun. We're gonna play a little rock and roll here. So strap in. Here we go. The beep beep also makes me laugh every time.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, the verses are literally him just asking questions, and I wish I knew who he was asking these questions to. But I mean, I guess if anybody who's listening, to try to answer the questions, and then the chorus is just beep beep, oh beep beep.
Masterclass in lyrics.
Yep. It's just fun to say.
Yeah.
No, you know that, Kevin. He just used that as a reason to with something else he could not say.
Yeah. All right, Josh, you get to pick our next song.
I know you mentioned it earlier, but Star Baby. It's another true story where a woman came in the bar, said that her mother was human, her father was a Martian, and she's literally there to kill a rock star.
Yeah.
And as Mike said, everyone in the band pointed right at him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that this a little like in general, I think I said it before, like this is just kind of a rock and roll album. But like this one just kind of leans into a little bit of a punk rock feel, and I really like that. It would have been really interesting to see, like I know a lot of Mike's music could be considered punk rock or at least punk rock adjacent, but like it would have been interesting to see Mike just do straight punk rock on a whole album. And so yeah, I really like the sound of this song. And again, super
Mhm.
catchy chorus. Star baby, star baby.
Yep. I think we should talk about Skinny Bones Jones a little bit. Um, it's it's a great song. I mean, clearly just talking about, the Rolling Stones, I believe, if I was to interpret this. And just the sense I get on it is just kind of a, man, why are they still doing stuff? They're like washed up, like just hang it up already. Like,
Sure.
what's going on?
Again, it's another one that's like super catchy. Like,
Mhm.
like because it starts out really chunky, like what's up with this band, blah blah blah. But then like when it gets into the Skinny Bones Jones, like it's
Yeah.
just, like he clearly knows how to write a catchy rock song and
Mhm.
kind of draw people in.
Yeah, I mean and it was a single, off
Yeah.
of the album, so
Yeah.
Oh, I want to talk about Phil.
Okay. Why would you want to talk about this? This is the one that my note is literally, wait, what?
I knew it when you said no. I knew, like, is this the one that you were singing along to? And then later you were like, oh, that's what I was singing to.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
knew it. I was like, that was my pick. That's what I guessed it was.
All right, tell us the story of this. This is crazy.
So Phil, and then remember, this is 1996, and not
Yep.
2026. But Phil is the story of a man's wife has became a lesbian, and he wants to stay with her so badly that he is willing to get a sex change operation.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. I was singing
absolutely
along, and
wild, but
it was talking about lacy panties, and I was like, oh, I'm just singing along, and then I was like, wait, what? Huh?
Yeah, he was talking about him wearing her lacy panties.
I know.
yep,
I know.
yep. But again, great storytelling, great music, and it's so catchy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's catchy as
I mean, that guy took his I think the lyrics even he says, "I take my wedding vows seriously."
Yeah. No. Yeah. This is the one where like I don't man, I could be wrong, and there's probably some people who would disagree. So that's people can have their take. I don't get the sense that Mike Knott was like intentionally like, I'm gonna try and push this as far as I can, as much as he was just like, he's a bit of a odd duck who wanted to tell interesting, unique stories and was just less concerned. Like, there's probably times where he poked the bear, but it
Oh, I'm
doesn't feel
sure.
like he's just going out there like, well, now I need to write a song that's going to poke the bear. Instead, it was like, I've got this idea. This is going to poke the bear and I'm going to think it's funny. So I'm going to do it. And so I
Yep.
get that sense that this is just him hearing this story at one point and being like, well, this will make for a great song at some point, and just feeling the need to get it off his chest and get it out there.
Yes, that's a
And we're
great
glad
take.
he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it gets you because like you're Caleb, you're just singing the lyrics and you have no idea what you're singing
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had to look it up and I was like, oh. And then like when you listen, you're like, oh,
Oh.
wow. It's not what when he was talking about cutting stuff. I didn't think that's what he was talking about. Oh man.
The listeners are going to be like, what?
This is the most blue show we've ever had.
Speaking of which, can we talk about Rocket and a Bomb?
Yes, please.
Yeah, please
So
fill
this
me
is
in on
another-
Rockin' in a Bomb.
Yeah, so this is another one that was a rework that was originally
Yeah.
off of his Rocket and a Bomb album. And I mean, like we were saying earlier, that album is up there as far as favorite albums by Mike Knott.
Yeah.
And this is, just taking it and just rocking the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, should we do a lyric breakdown of the last 12 lines?
Yes, please. You got it in front of you?
I do.
Okay.
And I quote, do you have enough bleeps for that?
I'll make it work.
Okay, so when I looked this up, Lyric Genius had it as shake.
Yeah, it
Now,
does.
Kevin, did you go in? Because I looked today and it's changed. Did you go change it, Kevin?
I did not change it.
Someone has changed it.
Really?
Yes. As of today, it has changed.
That's funny. No, I did not change it.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And that's not on the Rocket and the Bomb version, right?
No,
Or
it's
is it on
not.
Yeah, this is a totally different version of this, which is so interesting.
So I still really don't know what the song is about, though, Kevin.
He just wanted to swear.
Yeah.
He doesn't even like the song.
No, I do actually really like the song a
It's-
lot.
Yeah.
I think you like if you know Mike Knott, you kind of have to know this song.
Yeah,
Oh, 100%.
yes, Josh, I was going to say, is this the quintessential Mike Knott song? I think that's my opinion. It is. It's the song when somebody says, "Oh, do you like Mike Knott?" I immediately Rocket and a Bomb, whatever version
Yep.
comes to mind. That is the song I think about.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I mean, and you've got other ones like This Is the Healing is another one that would be up
Mm.
there. But yeah, I mean it's a much more rock version of it. And
Yes.
I just remember, like I was saying, kind of going through the first time I was listening to it, like cracking up at Mother Trucker. And then I get to this and I'm like, oh, I know this song, and kind of then you get to the end and it's just, wait, what?
Another moment. Wait, what?
Yep.
Oh man.
But
Yeah,
I love this
I
song.
love that. I love this song. I love the toned down version that you get on Rocket and a Bomb. I love that you get this, that's exactly it. It's this much more rocking out version as well. But like it's such a song. It feels so lived in. It feels so Michael Knott. I don't know. There's something about that song that just it feels great.
Yep.
All right. What other songs do we want to talk about? Josh, anything else you're open to talk about?
Yeah, I want to talk about Kitty Courtesy.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's get into cannibalism. All right. Yeah.
So like this song, it makes me think of like real people or people associated with someone. And so I've been watching this TV show now called Happy's Place.
Okay.
And so it's about a bar, but Emmett is the cook. And so like the kitchen is Emmett's domain. and you don't really mess with Emmett's kitchen. And so literally the verses are Kitty Courtesy, won't you please show me what's in the pot? Kitty Courtesy, it smells kind of human. Tell me that it's not.
Yep.
And so, I mean, do we have like a fried green tomatoes situation going on? Because at the end of the song, he says Kitty was once married, but her husband disappeared.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you have those like the Nash Vegas or the Live at Cornerstone 2000, I one of those two, he kind of talks about how I believe it was like someone in his apartment building and just the smell would kind of just waft through the entire building. And like I absolutely, like I said, I love those albums because you get kind of the story like, hey, this is what it's about. And this track is another one that's a rework off of Rocket and a Bomb as
Yep.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the other another one that gets up there. Even though I don't love it as much as a Rocket and a Bomb, it feels very like, I don't know. There's something when he asked that question, it smells kind of human. Like, I don't know. It just feels so quintessential Mike Knott, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
and this one translates really well to like the acoustic like
Yeah.
solo version as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have either one of y'all seen the movie for CBGBs?
I haven't.
No,
No.
not yet.
Okay, so yeah, like the guy there, like they would say that he would hire like homeless people just to work there. And so there's a scene where a guy's in the kitchen making chili, and like he's smoking a cigarette, and the ashes are just falling in the chili. But I mean, you think about like places like that or bars, and they have someone cooking this food back there, and
Who
kind of
knows what's
like
in it?
just don't ask questions.
Right.
If you don't want to eat there, go to Culver's.
hmm I mean, I feel we definitely need to talk about Double.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that man, you know, talking about like just kind of the lyrics and just the delivery on it, and like you can kind of hear the weariness in it, and just kind of like, it's knowing what Mike went through, dealing with alcohol and stuff like that. It's like, man, like you can almost feel it the way that he sings it. And
Yeah.
just, Josh, we were talking earlier about how like it almost feels like this could have been, where the album ended. It would have been almost like a perfect bookend of, starting with being like, Jesus, I need help, and then just kind of ending with, like almost like another down note, with Double. Just the way that the song ends, it would have been like a really great bookend to the album.
That's my only note on this record. I wish it did end. Either I wish it was, I wish this and Jane were other places in the record, like because they are
Mhm.
kind of these more emotional. Well, Jane isn't emotional. That's actually kind of a little cheeky at times, but like
Yeah.
it brings the mood down. Like it's a change of pace. So I
Mhm.
either wish they were kind of distributed in different places in the record, or I do wish rock and roll's a fine song, to end
Yeah.
the album on, but Double is like, I think it would have been the perfect closing to the record, and I agree. It's a nice bookend to the beginning with Jesus. I totally agree.
Yeah. And this one was another one that was a rework off of the LSU Grace Shaker
Yep.
album.
Which somebody did tell me that's theirs. One person who's been on the show did say that's their favorite Michael Knott album was Grace Shaker.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's like giving you a glimpse into his life again, talking about going to church with his wife, and then the pastor's getting a divorce, and she's looked up to him for 5 years, and she's like, well, if his marriage can't make it, how will ours ever survive?
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
So
I
lived in.
think,
Oh,
we've all kind of been at those points where, you just kind of feel like nothing can go right. And it's like, man, everything's just going to shit. And like, I don't know how I'm going to hold everything together. And then some guy comes over and like, you spill his drink, and like, oh, great. Now I got this to deal with, and
right.
it's like, under normal circumstances, yeah, it would be a pain in the ass, but like, you could deal with it. But adding it to everything else that's going on, it's just kind of overwhelming, and that could be, the straw that kind of breaks you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with you, Caleb. I wish it was the album closer. And I would be okay if rock and roll was like a hidden track.
Yeah. Yeah. Great way of
Mhm.
putting it. Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Suicide Sex Doll.
Yeah.
So again, there's a man in the bar, no shoes on. He fought in the war. He wants to kill more, but he gets mad and he's going home to a suicide sex doll. So I asked Kevin earlier, but Caleb, do you have any experience with sex dolls, and do you know if they're suicidal?
I have no experience with sex dolls, and I would assume they are suicidal. That's my guess. And I one more time, my note on this song was also, wait, what? But it was a little less hidden because I kind of knew what I was getting into on this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with the title there, they fall on knives, but they got a lot of lives.
I do kind of want to talk just briefly about. I had mentioned that there was an unreleased track off of the
Yeah.
Skinny Bones Jones single. So the one that was on there was a song called Junkie, which was that was actually a rework of John Barrymore Jr. off of the Rocket and the Bomb album, which
Okay.
is another fantastic. Like John Barrymore Jr. is on those Storyteller albums. That story is nuts too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, interesting. It's interesting that not just reworked it, but like changed the title, and
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
And I would say probably for the most part, all the ones that made it onto the album that were reworks, I like the Aunt Betty's version. Probably my favorite version of those songs. Junkie, I would say, is not a better version of John Barrymore Jr.
Okay. So a good cut then maybe for the album.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like how you mentioned Jane. It's a great transition towards the end of the album.
Yeah.
I really like how that song kind of it starts quiet and ends quiet and it gets really loud in the middle. Like it's just
Yep.
it's a really well constructed song. I think if the album wasn't 15 songs long and like almost an hour, I want to say, like it's so far back in the track list that you kind of I bet you a lot of people have missed it or forgot about it or like
Mhm.
skip over it, but it's a great song that if he would have put it number 2, it would have been one of those ones where like, oh, I love that song, like my guess is a lot of people miss it because it's in that back half, but it's just such a well constructed song.
You know, and with even with the album being like an hour long, like it flies by.
Yeah.
Like
It's 47
it-
minutes.
47.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's still, like
Oh yeah, for 16 songs, 47 minutes is fast.
Yeah.
yeah.
Jane's dealing with, a woman with mental health issues, and then ultimately, they end up, jumping in front of a train. But
Yeah.
I think the way that he doesn't make that song real heavy.
It's like it's there's a little levity brought to it because of there's a comment in it about like all of his friends wanting to get with her.
Exactly.
And then so it feels a little more like a little more lighthearted, even though it's not. Like it's an interesting choice to make, but it's just again like, and then it's delivered in this really, really catchy package.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, he kind of makes jokes within the song.
Yeah.
Like her name's Jane. She talks about everyone needs a make believe friend, and they're like, oh well, Tarzan, and she's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
no, his name's Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
So then you have Jane and Joe.
Yeah.
And again, super, super catchy short chorus of just, like boohoo, we miss you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
Beep beep.
If that's what you like, if that's what you like, I could be a bulldog, I could be a dyke. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I could do anything. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I could do anything. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this album's celebrating a 30-year anniversary. We've also talked about how like it wasn't marketed. It ended up being a short-lived career for this incarnation. So obviously, you guys both mentioned this is something that's really important to you. It's one of your favorite Mike Knott incarnations. We want people to go back and check this out. Why is this something that holds up for you or is important to you still?
I mean, it's just a solid rock record. Like if you look at it from just the music is amazing. It's so good. And like we've kind of been talking about through this whole thing, you've got these insane stories,
Yeah.
like these crazy people that he's talking about. And again, if you've never listened to this album before, listen to it. Then, again, go check out Live at Nash Vegas. Go check out Live at Cornerstone 2000. Like, so you can kind of get some of the storyteller side of Mike Knott. I mean, he's
Mhm.
got a million albums to check out. Some of them you probably won't like. Maybe you will. I don't know. Some of them you might be like, oh my gosh, this album is totally different and I absolutely love it. Like I mean, he's got a huge catalog
Yep.
and there's some gold in there for sure.
Yep.
There's a
And
reason why other bands like rave about Mike Knott.
yeah. And you're going to hear recommendations from people like Kevin, you were like Pop Life. Didn't do a whole lot for me. Like I really love Pop Life. Like so like I think that's the other thing is like there's so many different aspects of it. So find somebody that you like their musical opinion. If they know Michael Knott, like ask them what they like and like you might try and you might find other things because I think he's got such variety. He really does have something for everyone, I feel like.
Yeah, and even that like things I've done and things to come has kind of like a sample of like a handful of different bands. Like uh
Yeah.
he had a project that he was working on, the Strung Gurus that like I don't think it ever actually came out. But like I was really looking forward to checking that out.
Yeah. Josh, how about for you?
I mean, this album it has 16 tracks. There's really only one song that I would cut off the album, and it's at like 47 minutes. But if you listen to the whole album, it really feels like it goes by faster than that.
Yeah.
Mike is he's like a pioneer in the alternative music scene. And so if we're going and we're celebrating the history of Christian music, then he's one of those guys that you have to appreciate what he has done. And
Yep.
this is to me, this is his best work.
Hmm.
Yeah, and another one that you can check out where he kind of does like almost like I don't know how you say it. Like he does like a compilation type one, the Browbeats Witherwing. Like
Yeah.
he's got a song on there with like, all sorts of different bands like doing new versions of like some of his other songs. And like that's another great one to check out. And yeah.
Yeah. I think he is one of the out of the Christian space specifically, he's one of the biggest should have been a huge star. And I think he supported himself and he made ends meet and he made it work, but like should have been a massive star and just the timing never worked or he got signed to Elektra finally and management changed and they didn't know what to do with them. Like it's just kind of one of those things. So like, yeah, this idea of like icons of Christian rock, like I think at some point, like it's worth at least trying to check out. Like he has a collective, an LSU Michael Knott like collective album that it's just got enough of his stuff on there to like get a flavor for a lot of it. But I do think there's something about this. This is a really good introduction point to Michael Knott because you get the full band experience. Again, it feels very, very rock and roll. So it's consumable where some of his other stuff is pushing into some weird areas or weirder areas. So this is very consumable. It's a great way to be introduced to a pioneer. I think that's a great word for it.
And when he passed away a little over a year ago, I know Reese on the Pickle and Boot Shop, he had a lot to say.
Yeah.
It really, I think he really looked up to Mike, and he was influenced by Mike, and so his death really affected him, and I'm sure a lot of other people.
There we go. We got Center Square taken care of by Josh. Thanks for that. I don't know if Five Iron's been referenced yet on the show. So
Yeah.
there we go. Center Square is taken care of.
No, Kevin referenced him.
No, I did
he,
earlier.
Oh,
he
that's
saw
right.
him
He was hanging
live.
out with them. That's right. He was hanging out with them.
Yeah.
Just casually, me and the 5 Iron Frenzy guys were watching Mike Knott at the concession stand.
Where then we went over and we checked out Fillmore at Subway.
Was that called the concession stage?
I don't remember what it was called.
It's a very unique experience. Those
Mhm.
those music festivals. Oh man, we could do a. There you go. I gotta save that one for Patreon Best
There you
musical
go.
festival experiences from the 90s.
Was a good job, some bus fare, a rocket and a bomb. Yeah.
That's our breakdown of Aunt Betty's, or Aunt Betty Ford's. I will say there was originally, it was supposed to be Aunt Betty Ford's, but then there was like a lawsuit, so they switched it to Aunt Betty's. I have it as Aunt Betty Ford's in my digital music collection because I changed the name. So that's how I refer to it. But Aunt Betty's by Aunt Betty's, again, released sometime in 1996, potentially July. Sorry, this episode's coming out in February, celebrating a 30-year anniversary. Both of you guys have an online presence because that's where I met both of you. So, Kevin, you have a podcast. Where can people find you online, and where can people find your podcast?
Sure. So if you wanted to find my podcast, you can just search up A Pickle Home Companion. And as you can tell by the name, it is not a very serious podcast, but we get into hard-hitting interviews. Like we have Ethan Luck on to talk about lawn care. We have Clank on to talk about circus life. We've had just a wide variety of artists from the Christian music scene and other places as well. I mean, Hocus Pick.
Yep.
We've got an episode with Davey from Bleach coming out at some point soon that Josh was on actually.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's unscripted. It's not your typical interview show. It's insane and it's awesome. And it's the best idea we've ever had was to have no idea what we were doing.
That's how this podcast started. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's do something. Awesome.
I had to do prep work for this. What are you talking about?
I know. Well, I eventually evolved into a spot where I was doing prep work myself. Well, that's a whole other discussion. Josh, I've heard rumblings of a podcast as well, but where can people find you online? And are you ready to talk about your podcast, or do I need to wait?
Hopefully I can come back and be on that episode about Bloom with Audio Adrenaline. And
Okay.
maybe we'll have something more definitive to release then.
Okay. All right.
Like a release date.
Okay.
But the best place to actually find me and interact with me is on Facebook. Just Joshua Lawless. It's Lollis. I'm the one who is always posting about movies. I like to do these matchups where I'll give you two wrestlers and you have to pick one. And so I just like to have fun on social media and make it entertaining because there's too much stuff in the world that brings us down. And so I like to spread a little bit of cheer and happiness.
I missed the vote on it, but Roddy Piper beating Ricky Steamboat was wrong, incorrect.
Yeah, you actually get to know a lot about people by the way they pick their wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly. Second time it's come up on the show recently. All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate getting to dive into this album. I know that this was one that I think it's pretty important for a lot of people, so I was excited to kind of break it down. It's a unique one. So thanks so much for hanging out for a couple hours on a Sunday afternoon and talking about this album.
Yeah, it's great being here. I really enjoyed this album, man. I'm glad we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I saw this was on the list, I was like, there's no way I'm not going to be on this episode because I absolutely love this album.
Awesome.
I'm getting tired. It's coming down the hall. It's seeping through my wall. Stop that cooking, please. What's cooking? Kitty courtesy. Won't you please show me what's in the past?
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Album Anniversary Podcast. I want to say thanks again to Kevin and Josh for jumping on and talking about this album. Interesting album, and it was great to hear their thoughts on it. Let us know what you thought. What do we get right? What do we get wrong? What are your favorites from this album? I'm still on social media. I'm on all of them. So if you're on a social media site, you can probably find me. That's either Caleb the Spy or the Album Anniversary Podcast. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. I'm also on YouTube. You can definitely find the show there. A lot of stuff ends up there. I try and do a couple extra shorts on there as well for albums that are celebrating big anniversaries. And I'm also on Patreon. You can find me there. I'm trying to do a paid level for an extra show a month. It's behind the paywall on Patreon. Please feel free to check me out there, the Album Anniversary Podcast. And I did start a Facebook page. I'd always done it for my personal one. I started my own Facebook page for the show was sometime last year in 2025. But please check that out as well. And then I'll mention every show. I have the email, CalebTheSpypodcasts@gmail.com. Feel free to send me an email. If you have comments on the show, you can send them there too. But feel free to send me an email and we can connect if you want to be on the show. I have a list of episodes I'm planning on covering or albums I'm planning on covering. I can give you access and we can talk about potentially getting together on a show. I have a lot of people signed up to do shows. Do my best to include everybody, but feel free to email me again, CalebTheSpypodcasts@gmail.com. Please subscribe, share the podcast. All right, thanks again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.
For a minute, you let it pass and the stool falls over when you sit back down. Bumps a mean push shooter from across the town. He misses his shot, it's all on you. And with your last $4, you know what you do. Sorry man, can I buy you a drink? And he shakes his head and says, make it a double.
HM Magazine.
Yes.
25-year anniversary. Let's see. Best albums list.
Yeah, so while you're looking for that, do you guys remember when HM Magazine was kind of like on the verge of shutting down and they kind of did like a donate a certain amount of money and you'll get like a lifetime subscription?
No, I remember when they went digital.
It was right around there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like, I don't remember what it was. It was a decent chunk of change considering I was unemployed at the time, but I had, been subscribing to that for so long. I was like, I'm just gonna throw money at it and get it. And then I'm trying to think if it like something changed and like all of a sudden I wasn't getting the issues anymore. But
I mean, once it went digital, I think I hung around with them maybe another half a year, and then I had to drop off because it just wasn't the same as actually holding the magazine in your hand.
Exactly. Yeah, because like I used to take it and just read it on my lunch break, and and it was a lot harder once it was, I'm trying to read it on my computer at home, and then it's just not the same.
And they tried because when you would flip from pages, it would actually give you the little page sound.
Yep.
Oh, really? Oh, like when you're reading it digitally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
But it still wasn't the same.
Yeah.
No. It's a lot harder to fold down the corner of the page to remember to go back and look.
That is true.
That's funny.
Yeah, you can cut out the suicide sex doll.
No, it's on the. I mean, it's there. It's the one that if you put it in here, we'll have to cut that. I don't know if this will work because I don't want you. But like, it's what's really interesting is like, feel jumps up on you, like. But suicide sex doll. The fact that it's track 12, like you might get into this and be like, you might see that or like it's like. He's a little more subversive, a little more subversive, a little more subversive. And then he's just like, and here you go. Like, this is not subversive, So like, if you would have put that first, then you're kind of looking for it where again, like I totally was singing along with Feel and had no idea what to sing along with, like no idea. And he literally talks about cutting off his penis. I mean, it's just, like,
Right.
How many albums have you covered it at this point, Caleb?
It's like episode 130 ish.
And I guarantee you've never covered an album like this.
No. Well, no, I mean, we've covered Rancid. That's got some, covered 2 Rancid albums. Probably not as subversive as this, though. Well, we covered Kush.
Yeah. Well,
That has some subversive moments.
this should tell you everything you need to know about me and Kevin.
Oh, man. All right. Any other songs we're hoping to talk about?